Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. I'm Kris, joined by my brothers, Adam
Hello.
and Eric.
Hello.
We are back in the room once more to give our take on video games. This week, we're going to be giving our take on the most recent state of play, which literally just took place like a few days ago, Thursday the 27th of May. And at this most recent state of play, it was a featurette based on Horizon 2 Forbidden West. A little while back, we had an episode where we were saying, where are all the games? We haven't even seen more from that. I suppose it's coming this year. We have finally seen more from that. So that's exciting, and we're going to be giving our take on it. But there's a few other things that we're going to bring up as well that weren't necessarily at state of play, but were revealed in the same week. One of them being Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. There was more footage covered on that from lots of different game covery people, Eurogamer, IGN, and all these kinds of people. But also, we're going to bring up the most recent PS Plus games that are coming in June, which will be downloadable this week. And I wanted to bring them up because I think it's interesting that state of play, that it's not something that they tack on at the end as like a little reminder of here's what PlayStation is giving everyone, by the way, if you're subscribed to us. So those are all things we're going to be talking about. And obviously, we would love other people to join in on the discussion at any point. So if you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to jump down into the comments to share your own thoughts on Horizon and everything else that we bring up in this episode. And you can also support this channel by giving the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and click that notification bell so you know when we put out future content. This is on audio platforms, which is where we started off, so it's cool if you are, like Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever else you like to listen to us. You can also touch base with us on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, at The Brothers Take, again, to let us know your take on everything we bring up today. But without further ado, let's talk State of Play. Okay, so in general, what did you guys think of the most recent State of Play?
It was just a Horizon, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's all that was shown at it. It was a Horizon featurette. Like, even the countdown leading up to it was like stills from Horizon 2.
The first, yeah, oh yeah. Was that? I thought it was the first game. No, or is it the second?
No, because he said at the end there. I mean, maybe there's like areas that you revisit or something in the early parts of the game. But your man did say at the end that in the countdown we showed you some of what you will be seeing, and then he said, "But there's more to come," or whatever like that. So, yeah, I believe that's all locations. I thought it was a cool countdown because like I do like those state of play countdowns where they use like the PlayStation graphics like things. I don't mean.
Well, this made way more sense. It's like. You know, it's now. I think I imagine this is the way it's going to be going forward.
Think so? Like, just be like a game featurette.
Yeah, and I think now it's like okay, at least that makes sense now. Instead of it trying to be these smaller, like here's a bunch of shit that you're going to see throughout the thing. Like, because I always found with the state of plays, they're too short to get enough information about each game coming out. Yeah. And a lot of the games coming out, you could have just put a trailer on YouTube, essentially. Like, it's no need for this, because the state of play almost feels like an event, or at least that's the kind of perception.
Well, that's the vibe it gives off. Yeah.
Whereas if it's like, okay, each one is just going to be about a specific game, and we're going to scatter it throughout the year. Yeah, I think that's probably a better formula for it, because we've discussed how state of play is confusing.
Yeah, very much so. And I think it's been... Well, I think in the beginning, they had a lot to share. So in the beginning, it was an event.
Yeah.
And the more it goes on, they realize we don't have enough to show for these to be events. However...
They have Deathloop.
There is... Yeah, just show Deathloop again. But there is stuff that they could have added to this. I don't really understand why they didn't. And they are PlayStation exclusives. So I'm a bit confused... Just with like the way everything's happening.
You mentioned Intergrade, you mentioned PlayStation Plus. It is because that is this week. Like that was earlier in the week.
The timing couldn't be more perfect to have all that happen at State of Play. I'm confused.
for Intergrade, they had someone from IGN play it and show it off.
No, but
that's the one I watched.
That was one of the ones. But even like Eurogamer and like there was loads of other people also covered that same footage. I don't know if they got to play it or they were sent that footage and they had to like kind of talk over it. But that's out there as well if people want to check it out. But obviously, look, Horizon was the main feature this time around. I kind of wish that the state of play was quarterly and longer.
Yeah,
like 40 minutes once every 3 months, and there's loads of shit at it. Because I don't know, I walk away more excited when there's lots of shit to kind of dig your teeth into.
Yeah, I wonder if they're wanting to spread them out like more smaller pieces just to kind of keep PlayStation constantly in headlines.
Yeah, possibly.
So every month there's always something.
Yeah,
it just keeps the energy up a bit.
Yeah,
because normally it would just be the E3 event, and it's like a big, the month of June basically is going to be announcements. It's like that's the way it is every year. But after June, it's like, a few more. I think it's all the game releases then in the end of the year, but then there's like a big gap between that and the next June essentially. So having it scattered throughout is probably just to keep it in everyone's mind. It's like here's a bunch of games for the console you can't order.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting as well because, like I was about to say, it's like I like the whole E3 thing where you get like.
I love it too.
Shown, right?
Yeah.
I think it's cool, but at the same time, there is always like lots and lots of games that really fall on the wayside because there'll be some big game with a showcase that absolutely fucking steals the show. I think it was like, a couple of years ago, for example, not for me, but for a lot of other people, it was Cyberpunk when Keanu Reeves walked out on stage. And nobody was talking about any other game because they were like, "Oh my God, Keanu Reeves walked on stage, so this game must be good."
I was like, I think it was at that same one where John Bernthal walked out on stage too
for like Ghost Recon or something.
For Ghost Recon, yeah, but he came out with his dog.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah, but then
and then there was the year when they announced like this is probably my favorite one ever, and I still love watching reactions to it. But the year they just announced the reveal of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh yeah,
just like,
it was that's the highlight of E3, really, isn't it?
Yeah, people watching it were even just like, "Okay, E3 is over. It's done now."
Yeah.
But it felt like there was loads more to show. They were like, "Shut it off. It's done. There's no need to continue."
I don't know. Some of the set designs they did. Really good. Like, was it Days Gone or was it Last of Us where they had people like dressed as zombies hanging from like ropes and chains and shit on the stage?
Oh, yeah, I can't remember which game it was.
They had like the sound of rain. They had like the 3D audio effect of rain. I think it was actually Days Gone.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that was like really good.
That kind of shit's cool. I think this year E3 is going to be done kind of like the way DC Fandom was done.
Digital,
it's like it's a digital conference, and you can go to different kind of digital halls, essentially. But I don't know if it's
really just going to be Microsoft, though.
Like you say that, but like WB Games are going to be at it. Square Enix are going to be at it.
I know, but I they always have. Well, Square Enix might have a few interesting things, but. Like there was always extra studios, like Ubisoft was always there, Activision was always there, and stuff like that, and EA was always there.
Yeah,
but no one really gave a shit, right? People watched it for Microsoft, people watched it for Sony, because the thing is like a lot of those games are going to be scattered within Microsoft showing and what would have been Sony showing, and back in the day, the height of E3 when Nintendo used to be there. Like, it was always confusing to me as to why are the third-party developers also have their own shows, because how many times do I need to see Assassin's Creed? Like, I'm seeing it on every show now and stuff like that. So, I used to always only watch the big platform shows. And this year, with Microsoft having Bethesda, it's like, I feel sorry for anyone else wanting to do a show.
Well, yeah, I mean, Xbox fans are going to have just the most amazing time.
I think I cannot wait to see what they're showing, because I think it's just going to steal the month.
Well, yeah, no, obviously it's got like literally the month of June. Everyone will be talking Xbox, right?
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, Halo Infinite is a definite. If they're not showing more of that, then there's going to be concern or worry over what the fuck is happening with that game, because that was supposed to be that was supposed to be a launch game, and obviously they brought it back because of some backlash over how it was looking, but it was obviously supposed to be nearly done. So at this point, they're surely going to be ready to show it again at E3. Yeah. Starfield is going to be shown. I'm
really interested to see how that ends up looking.
Yeah. And they might show Elden Ring. Like, there's a lot they could show now that has been kind of on the cards.
They're not Elden Ring, though, is it? That's not them.
No, that's From Software's Elden Ring.
Yeah, I know, but wasn't it going to be an Xbox game?
I don't think so. But Hellblade would be the one where I'm really excited for.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot wait to see what Hellblade looks like. I want to see more of that shit.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'm actually wondering, because if EA is going to be at it, are they considering there was a teaser?
Yes.
Are they going to show? So for me, Microsoft I'd probably be like, yeah, whatever. Because if EA shows the new Mass
Effect, are you kidding me?
If they're not showing, if Bethesda's not showing Elder Scrolls 6, fuck off.
Well, there probably won't be anything on Elder Scrolls.
No, there won't be. I know.
I'm expecting maybe more Doom
at the moment.
Yeah.
Like another Doom DLC or something like that.
I actually think you could get a teaser though for an Evil Within 3.
Probably, actually. Yeah, you could do.
That's a possible one, because it's been a few years now since Evil Within 2. Nothing like, no gameplay or anything like that.
Oh,
just a teaser, just enough to go, oh, cool, that's coming. You know what I mean? But like, that could happen.
EA has such a bad track record. I just find it too difficult to get excited about anything that EA.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about that, but I'm looking forward to WB games, you see.
Yeah, like, because they've never had one.
Yeah, and now like for them to have one on their own, I'm like, great. I'm going to see more Gotham Knights. 100%. 100%.
Probably more Suicide Squad.
Of the Suicide Squad game. Maybe they'll show a first look at gameplay. So
I really need to see what the gameplay looks like for that, because the trailer is just...
trailer was not for me.
Wasn't what I was looking for.
Trailer looked too Fortnite-y for me. For an
I wonder if that's the way the gameplay is going to be.
It might be.
Like, dropped in onto a large map and... do little activities throughout.
Different districts of Metropolis. It could be. That could be what it is. But I also think there's other stuff that's going to come from WB Games. We'll probably see more of Hogwarts Legacy. You know, like that and Gotham Knights were both supposed to come this year. Obviously, have been delayed to next year. But because they were supposed to come this year, there's obviously enough of it to show. There's going to be something of it to show. So I think WB Games are going to have a really good showcase. So I think it's going
to be good, but I still think Microsoft is going to come out of that.
100%.
Carrying the trophy.
100%.
You know, the whole who won E3? I used to love those.
And it's going to be right. Time to get an Xbox. Let's go.
Yeah.
That was overhype. Yeah, I think so. But I suppose for the moment, getting back to State of Play then. And there's going to be loads to talk about in terms of E3 once we see everything. But Horizon 2 then, what were your thoughts? Urk!
Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
I opened up and I was like, my God, San Francisco looks nothing like that. It looks so much better. That's what they should make San Francisco look like. It was beautiful. The lighting, the vivid colors, such a kind of quite a stark contrast I found to the first one. Because while the first one had greenery, it was still more of a harsh desert, arid landscape. To then when you go up north, a very frozen wild. All right, it was, but this one it's all kind of tropical looking, and the new animals that they have, or robots I should say, are fucking awesome.
Yeah,
I'd like to know why they're made. What purpose do they serve?
Right, yeah, and I suppose because it's the Forbidden West, like supposedly she's never been there before, and so that's why we're seeing new machines, because they were just regional or something, you know, part of a different territory. I think that's cool, because there's like, do you remember like when we were talking about like The Last of Us Part 2, and it's like if they start introducing new infected, like there's other phases that it's like well, hold on. They've been living in this world for 20 years. In all the journals, they've highlighted that there's 4 phases. You can't fucking do that shit. And then they did something that was amazing, actually. I was like, no, that fits in. That's fine. That's cool. It's kind of cool. But yeah, like I don't like if there's no reason for a brand new enemy. Earlier Resident Evil games had an awful habit of doing it. It's like, in this case, the T-Virus turns it into this thing. How does this fucking thing work? So the machines that are territorial, I think, is cool. That's cool.
Yeah. Super. And I like the Raiders. The idea of the Raiders like riding on these fucking Velociraptor look, and the fact that the Velociraptors have like a feather look to them. I
got that too.
I mean, I know they're obviously a lot bigger than actual Velociraptors, but that sticking that idea that the dinosaurs had like feathers and shit on them, I was like, that's awesome. They're sticking to that.
And they kind of move and stuff as they're like searching. I thought that was so cool. I thought it was deadly.
Just absolutely graphically gorgeous game. Very intrigued. Very intrigued to see what that storm and that red shit is. The red stuff kind of reminded me of was it in one of the DLC for Destiny? There was like some red infection crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of reminded me of that, but I'm going to assume there's a way more like realistic scientific reason to what it is.
Right.
And the mammoth.
It was also in the first one, though, wasn't it? So it could be similar to what was in the first one.
Well, it was a red computer virus. Now it seems to be affecting the natural world, which is really interesting.
And actually, I like that they still showed a corruptor. When she was swimming and coming out of the water, there was actually a ruined corruptor just there in the water.
Oh, right.
Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that.
The underwater stuff looked great.
Yeah, that looked really beautiful.
Yeah.
And just the traversal underwater looks great.
It looks really good. I just when you brought up the red blight thing, right? Because I remember as I was watching the gameplay happening, and she was like hiding in like a red bush, and I was like, oh, that's a bit fucking convenient. She has red hair, so they've sprawled red bushes everywhere so she can hide, right? And then when it was like, that's actually nature's getting affected by this blight thing, and it's part of the story.
But that was in the first game though.
Yeah.
Oh, was it?
That's how you hid was in red bushes, yeah. Because she had red hair, you could hide in red bushes. Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. Just as I was playing, I think it's because they just put so much emphasis on the blight thing. I thought, oh, is that like a cool game design thing? But no.
Nope, that's always
take that back. It still sucks. No,
but I did notice that like she's less red in it. Like she's less ginger. She's like kind of more browny.
Like a Tuscan sunset.
It's like
wow. Beautiful. I thought she looked a lot like just when it showed her face model this time, I thought she looked an awful lot like Amy Lee from Evanescence.
She is different looking, isn't she?
She's a bit different.
Yes. Yeah. I don't want to say specifically what is it, but yeah, she looks a bit different.
Well, yeah, I mean, honestly, when I saw the first Aloy, I was like, that's a very iconic looking character. Doesn't remind me of anyone. And straight away this time, for some reason, Amy Lee from Evanescence came into my head. I don't know why. But just her face, not obviously the hair is totally different, but just her face.
Like the animation as well at the beginning looked a little odd to me when she was speaking to the injured man.
Yeah,
there's something about it. It was like, now obviously there's room for improvement. They're still working on it, but there's just something about it that looked a little weird.
I love that your man just kept taking her. Like I know she offered the water
like,
to him, but he kept going, hold on. Okay, so this happened. And then this happened. Every time
he just keeps drinking water. Yeah.
He just kept taking swigs after every sentence.
Yeah.
Man, I fucking
calm down. Like she needs a drink too. Like
yeah, I fucking loved the mummicle.
I know, right? It's
straight
right
out
of the Rohirrim.
They even have the fucking bows and arrows up on top of the hut and everything like that. That is.
And it goes back on its back legs and knocks everyone off.
Yeah.
No,
I was like,
still counts as one though.
There were some new additions that I thought were really cool.
Specifically the traversal stuff. Like a lot of verticality to it, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the grapple hook thing. I like that her focus highlights things that she can climb. It looked really fluid and cool. And I really liked that, like, it's strange, but I really liked that blue holographic umbrella thing that she uses to glide.
Yeah, a bit of Breath of the Wild glider in there, so that's
yeah,
nice to see.
I thought that was cool. I mean, look at the first Horizon was pretty much a huge amalgamation of what other games have done, and the second one looks kind of similar. Like I didn't really see anything that's like new, where it's like I haven't seen that before, but I thought everything was implemented well in it.
Yeah, well, I think the set in itself is unique enough.
Yeah,
to be its own thing. But yeah, there were the thing, when I first watched it, I was like, okay, I was a little thrown off by Aloy's model because I just really loved the character design in the first one. So I was like, why change this? This is a little weird. Like recognizable as Aloy, obviously, but like why change the color of her hair? She was representing the Ginge, and now she's no longer full on Ginger.
By the way, just before you go further, is Ginger, is that used worldwide, or is that purely an Ireland UK thing?
No, surely Ginger's used worldwide.
Is it redhead everywhere else? I don't know.
No, well, the redheads is like a spectrum.
Alright, okay.
There's lots of different variation of red. She's
strawberry blonde.
Exactly, there's strawberry blonde is a type of red.
There's Tuscan Sunset. There's
yeah, apparently.
Who tried to tell
Auburn.
me that the reason for red hair is that the iron in the person's blood is rusty? That's what.
I don't know.
I heard that when I was
surely not the case.
Child, and as a child, took that as fact because I was like, that makes sense. I've heard there's iron in blood. Yeah, and if it was rusty, sure. Obviously, it's nonsense, but yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. It's just like she really stood out among characters.
Yeah, quite like a fiery red hair in the
now. Yeah, and there's little streaks of blonde in it as well, so it's a much lighter red. But now it's like more towards the brown. It's like, you know, nearly like the Tomb Raider silhouette. Nearly, it's not that brown, but it's like you were really iconic, but now you're starting to look like other characters nearly from a distance, really. But when you start seeing the area, like the jungle and stuff like that, visually this looked like Uncharted 4.
Yeah, 100%.
But the thing is with Uncharted 4, obviously, is that they can make that look so good because it's such a narrow area, it's such a small area, it's linear. Whereas this is an open world with the quality of the fine-tuned Uncharted 4 graphics.
Yeah.
So that was really, really impressive. But it didn't blow me away. Right. Because I would have seen that quality in Uncharted. It's just nice to see it in an open world. So I was a bit like, I don't know, I was expecting a little bit more from a PS5 game. As like, this kind of to me looks a little bit like just a really high performance PS4 game. And then of course it ends saying that it is coming to PS4 as well. So it's like, so is it being held back a little bit by the hardware?
I think it possibly is. Your man, and I really appreciated the way this was laid out in that they showed you all the gameplay first uninterrupted, and then afterwards gave the kind of interview, which is the let's talk through some of the new stuff we saw.
Yeah.
As opposed to I'm not giving out, but like at the last State of Play during the Ratchet and Clank presentation, the guy was talking as you're watching it.
Yeah.
Which, you know, and the Ratchet and Clank presentation was brilliant. It looked great. But I do prefer to be able to just look at everything and kind of make little notes of stuff myself, and then listen to someone kind of talk about it after the fact. They might bring up something that I didn't notice. But I liked that, like, for example, if he had been talking during it, when she goes to do the glider thing, you go, and here's a new feature that we've brought to Horizon. Yeah. You know what I mean? As opposed to, like, when she just did it, I was like, oh, fuck, that's cool, that's new. You know, like, I was able to kind of engage with it myself. So I like that. But I kind of agree with you. I did find by the end of it, I was like, the world looks cool, the story is interesting, so I'm kind of intrigued, and I want to explore that world. I'm not seeing enough kind of new developments in the combat. Like, there's other weapons, but...
That was one bit in particular, where it's like the combat still doesn't interest me.
No. Like, this thing of people running at you and you trying to shoot the bow at them, that makes no sense to me. That makes no sense to me at all.
Yeah, so the areas of improvement seem to be traversal. traversal improvements. They enhance the combat with slight kind of cinematic angles.
Yeah, that shit was cool.
But overall, it looks like the combat hasn't really made... Because that was my biggest complaint with the first one. I never found the combat fun.
No, not really. No.
So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if there's more to it in this.
Yeah. What are you about to say, Eric?
They added in stealth takedowns. That wasn't in the first one, was it?
Pretty sure it was, yeah.
I think it was. But I do think it's going to be a bit smoother this time around. I think
she looks
it's just
more fluid and fast as well with the spear. She used to be quite slow and sluggish with it.
I think as they're showing the combat, it doesn't look much different. Like, it looks obviously better presented, but it doesn't look much different. But I actually think as well, kind of in an afterthought of looking at it, and I watched it twice. I went to rewatch it again on YouTube. I do think that you're going to have to kind of play it to really know, does it feel better?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It looks similar, but maybe it does play smoother. Maybe the controls are faster. Maybe it responds quicker. You know, maybe that drawing a bow and shooting is going to be a lot cleaner than it was the first time around. They might have tidied up the controls, but it just looks similar.
They didn't mention anything about haptics.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I was like, what the hell?
Because it's probably likely that there's not going to be any in it.
Yeah.
Not to the extent that we were hoping.
No, because we were kind of hoping that as you're running through bushes, you might feel it, or as you draw on the bow, you'll feel the resistance and stuff. Yeah, maybe you'll get a little bit on the adaptive triggers, but yeah, didn't really mention haptic feedback. So maybe it's going to take like 3 years before we're really getting like full on
PS5
games. Like, yeah. And then they'll be announcing the PS6.
But I'm just wondering then, like, God of War Ragnarok. Then I feel like it's probably similar. I think that's a PS4 game. Like, a lot of the games that are coming out, they're PS4 games that are just being
ported over.
What's interesting is, so for example, Resident Evil Village was only being built for the next gen.
Okay.
Originally it was PS5, Xbox, Series X exclusive, and PC. Sorry, PC. And then when they kind of realized that they're not going to get out as many consoles as they hope, right? Capcom re-looked at it and said, is it possible to put this on the last gen as well? Because like sales are important, right? Really important. And you know, if fuck all people actually have the console that your new game plays on, and it's fucking Resident Evil, which is like this, we're building this game to be, and they've said it themselves, they built that game to be as accessible to as many players as possible. That's why in their own words they turned down the fear? Question mark? Puzzled. But that's their words. That's why they looked at Ori 4 as their biggest kind of
but I would say the same about that though. Like I didn't find, like, Resident Evil Village looked great, but it didn't look generationally great.
I get what you're saying, yeah.
Like, it still looked like this could perform on a PS4, and it can.
Well, that's what they found out, that it can, yeah. And that's why they released it that way, yeah.
So, that one I never really questioned. I assumed it was the other way around. I thought they were possibly making for PS4 and updating. But, like, it's not to take away from Horizon. It still, like, looks fucking amazing. Like, the foliage in particular I thought looked really great, because often what you see in games is, from a distance, foliage looks really, really good because it's got really good lighting, it's got really good color contrast and things like that. But then once you get close to it, the texture's all like really flat looking.
Yeah, like the cornfield in Resi 8.
Like in Resi 8, yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, you know, you're walking past, like, you can see the leaves, like, kind of past there and stuff, and they looked really, really good. There wasn't much interaction with foliage, I've noticed. It's like you still kind of clip through it. It's not like it brushes away or anything like that, but maybe that's just too intensive for the size of the game. But the visual of the foliage looked really, really great. The modeling looked really good. And then just the extra, like, butterflies, like, just flying around and stuff like that just really adds density to the world. That looked great too. And the draw distance too. I didn't notice anything, like, with the PS4 Horizon, the first one, draw distance was done really, really well in it. Like, I didn't really notice much pop in that game, and in this one, I didn't notice any. Now, this could be just best case scenario just for this particular showcase, but I imagine No, I'd say they improved their engine so much so that the draw distance popping is not a problem.
Yeah,
so that's good. That's good.
I'm really looking forward to seeing animals in this game.
Yeah.
Which, like,
are they going to have animals, or are they still just going to have the turkeys?
Well, they keep showing in like the kind of trailers and all. They had the footage of the fox who's dying, and she's very kind of saddened by it, right? She's checking the fox. To me, that says that there's going to be animals in this game roaming around, and every so often you'll find ones that are like dying or sick or being affected by it. And yeah, I just think that's a really cool addition to this kind of natural world, is to have actual animals inhabit it. And I don't know, I got a soft spot for the foxes after Ghost of Tsushima, so
yeah.
I just saw that fox dying, I was like, no, not the fox. Or I was brought back to the Fox and the Hound as a child. Oh god, if you want to cry, guys, this week go watch The Fox and the Hound if you've never seen it. It's a baller. Yeah, but
I wonder if they kept in the choice-based dialogue.
Yeah, like, I'm kind of surprised at what they showed. I'm like, it looks cool, it looks great, there's lots of good stuff. But I'm surprised they didn't, like... I felt like... Even though I'm more interested in Horizon, I felt like the Ratchet and Clank showcase was actually a better showcase.
You get more of the game?
Of what the game actually is. Because they swap between the two characters... They showed dimension traveling. They talked a little bit about the plot, and they also showed different weapons that you're going to have and different things you can do with them. This was, you get a bit of the traversal and also some of the new gadgets that she has. But I'm surprised they didn't like skip time a little bit to show you her in like a different scenario. But then at the end, I suppose I kind of realized it's like, oh, okay, sorry, that's coming at another state of play later in the year. Okay, another Horizon one. Probably. When they finally are ready to release the release date. I said at the beginning, like, Ash was sitting with me, I put it on, and I was like, okay, release date, here we come. This is the time to tell us when's it coming this year. And then when it just ended, I was like, hold on, it's going to come up on screen now. And then it didn't, I was like, that's it? What? Where's the release date?
The next day to play is just going to be 5 seconds long, and it's just going to be the release day of Horizon. That's it.
Oh, yeah. Well, it won't be the very next day to play, but in a few months' time, another state of play, which means this game is probably a holiday period game. That's my opinion.
Hopefully. Like, I mean, if it was coming out in the end of the year, I thought they would have mentioned it. That indicates to me that they're not totally confident about meeting that deadline. And they're actually just wanting to see how the rest of the year goes first, and then make a decision on when to actually release it.
What does that say about God of War, guys?
That's not this year. That's not this year at all.
I don't know. I should have put it up on fucking some Paddy Power or other meshing place or something like that. I don't know. Take me up on it. As soon as they revealed it, I was like, that's not true. It's like 2021. That's not true.
Yeah. They might surprise us, though.
That would be very surprising. Can you imagine if Horizon gets delayed and God of War comes out this year?
Well, the thing with Horizon is that there would have been a change in management and stuff like that, because isn't it the head of Guerrilla Games then became head of Sony or PlayStation Studios?
Did he?
Yeah, so that's why the director here is a different guy.
It's a different guy. I did notice that.
Yeah. So there would have been a change in management, change in team, and all that kind of stuff. So maybe that could affect how the development goes with it more so than with Santa Monica. They're still the same team, so. Yes,
true. Yeah. And maybe Santa Monica don't want to show you anything, and they want to just last minute drop this game on the world.
Yeah, they kind of don't need to.
They're just gonna put the release date, and it's gonna be like it's out tomorrow.
That's all they would need to do. And there's absolutely no marketing that needs to be done.
No,
because although Horizon, great exclusive for the PS4, it didn't perform as well as some of the other exclusives. So that I think does need a bit of push marketing wise. But God of War doesn't. God of War, you just have to say it exists and people will buy a console for it.
Yeah, it's a bit nuts. It is a bit nuts. Like, I think it's still, they keep having these polls. They keep releasing these kind of polls, just people asking what's your most anticipated game, And like I've seen lots of different games on the lists and stuff, but God of War Ragnarok seems to be on every list. You know, up against the likes of like Elden Ring and Breath of the Wild 2 and stuff like this, right?
Yep.
And every time God of War Ragnarok wins the poll. Every single time.
Well, it's definitely going to be the better
just
game
huge.
out of everything there anyway, so...
But that's subjective though, isn't it? It could suck.
Well, I doubt it. It could be literally the same game.
I don't think
just
it
different
will.
locations, and it'll still be better than most other games coming out. Like it's just such a solid game.
Yeah, no,
like
it is. It's beautiful.
You know, it can only get better from there because you can add extra things like populate the world.
The game's going to open with Kratos saving some people from like some Draugr, and then they're going to like hit him with like an arrow and bash his head in with a club. That's how it's going to open.
Yeah,
it'll be absolute uproar.
You have to play as Atreus.
Yeah.
On a revenge story.
For half the game, and then the other half you play as the Draugr who bashed in.
Yeah.
And you're like, that Draugr looks a bit weird. It's like as if someone else's head is on someone else's body. I laughed so hard when I found out that was true because I was like, is it just me or does Abby look weird as fuck? I'm so mean to her. I was like, no, genuine. Like, I'm not against the character. Just genuinely, does Abby look weird as fuck? Like, look really, really strange. And then I found out it's like it's a different head on a different body. Like, that explains it. That's weird. That's actually weird. But anyway, were there any other takeaways from what you saw of Horizon? Were you expecting to see the release date, or was I just?
I watched it on YouTube, and comments kind of go, "Oh, I really like that holographic parachute." I was like, "Oh, she has a holographic parachute. That's nice." And everyone was like, "Oh, I really expected that a release date." I was like, "Oh, okay, so they obviously don't show the release date."
You went and looked at the comments first?
Yeah, why would you not just full screen the video and just watch the thing?
No, you know why they show two. When you put it on, right? You go onto it, you click on it, and then they might like show two comments.
Oh, the two top comments for that?
Two top comments were those.
I
two
normally
things.
I just threw it on the PlayStation, like YouTube on PlayStation.
Put it on my phone before I went to sleep.
You should have watched the actual state of play.
I forgot about it.
Literally.
I forgot about it. So.
That's Eric, folks. He's really, really into video games.
Yeah, I forgot about it by playing video games. So.
I was playing games at the time. That's fair. That's actually fair.
I think I was doing the suicide mission at that point from Mass Effect 2. So.
Cut me some slack here, guys. Cut me some slack.
The last thing that really stood out to me was the UI. I thought it looked really, really clean. Because that's a big complaint that I have about the first Horizon would be... I know that you can make the UI kind of appear and disappear depending on what kind of scenario you're in. But if you have the UI on full blast, like it just takes up so much of the screen. It's like playing a fucking MMO or something. Like there's this beautiful world, but there's like bars covering everything. Yeah. Whereas this is like a really, really sleek looking UI. Now it's probably... like it probably does pop in and out depending on what's happening as well, but from what we've seen, it didn't look intrusive. It looked really nice.
That's the best way as well to do UIs, I think. Is like if you do have to have like life bars and things like that, like let them pop in when you need them and then go away so you can just immerse yourself. Like I like that. I've said it before. I can't stand MMO UIs. Like it's the one thing. Like I like the concept of an MMO, but if they could find a way to do it way tidier, and I've seen different people's different colored texts everywhere. It's disgusting. It's terrible. Yeah, like there's a big game of Tetris going on the side of your screen as you're trying to play. It's like this is very distracting. Maybe it's just me. Did you think State of Play was long enough?
Yep. Yeah. Well, for a single game showcase, that's plenty. I think 15 minutes of gameplay footage is like the sweet spot. It doesn't overstay its welcome, and you get enough. See,
here's my question about it though. It's like, okay, if you're gonna call the events, if it's State of Play, and it's monthly, why not just drop the one singular game feature on YouTube? Like, why do it under this State of Play thing? If it's not going to be multiple things. Like I get what you were saying earlier. It's like now they want to do one game at a time, and that's fine if they want to do that. But in the same week, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade had a form of presentation and just dropped it on
Well,
YouTube.
part of that could be that Square Enix wants to show that on their terms.
Right.
Like, they want to showcase that their way and not be restricted by a time frame that Sony might have for State of Play or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
Also give it access, because a lot of it was just given access to journalists and stuff like that, so that they could comment over it and make their own videos, so they can distribute it in their own way. So yeah, it could be just a control thing.
It's just interesting because like that, obviously Intergrade is dropping on the 10th of June.
Mm-hmm.
Really not that far away now, you know? And it's a PS5 exclusive.
Yeah.
To me, that screams perfect opportunity for a State of Play. You know what I mean? Like, there is no other event for something like that.
Yeah, or they could even just have at the end of State of Play like a little chart or something like that, and they'd have the name of the game, date releasing, you know, like they could just do that at the end.
Yeah.
With little thumbnails of like kind of playing the game, like gameplay footage, just to kind of show what the game is, title of the game, when it's releasing. I think that would have been.
It's
that
more
would
like
make sense.
Acknowledgement of like, here's what else is happening. You know what I mean? Because like the Horizon one, yeah, okay, it was great, and it's great to see the gameplay finally. And look, they're being very secretive about what to show, because a lot of pretty much all the gameplay we saw on that was the stuff that was in the trailer. Right? So like where I saw the trailer before, and I would have thought that, her on the beach is a totally different part to her swimming deep with all those big seaweed or whatever, and it turns out that's actually all the one segment. So they're being very secretive about what they show you so far. It's all one segment, and even the Golden Gate Bridge, that was all in that. So it's just strange to me that State of Play wasn't showing off more stuff that it has. It's just weird to me. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Just let the feature be a feature on YouTube then. Like, why is it called State of Play?
Well, I think having it as State of Play now just means that there's like a singular title brand that everyone can discuss and recognize, and when they see State of Play, they realize what that means, rather than just having the title for the last one be Ratchet and Clank gameplay footage, and this one being Horizon 2 gameplay footage. Having a singular like title to it, I think, just says it's more than just a trailer, really. But yeah, I found it. This felt more right to me than the previous few. Okay. The previous few, I'm like, I don't know. I just felt empty or something. Or like, even though they're showing more, they were showing more stuff, but it's like the little bit you got of each was not enough to fully understand what the game was. It was just like you were just announcing shit, and I can see footage, but I don't know what this game is. Whereas having this like more in-depth look at a game, I have a better understanding of what Horizon is. And out of all the State of Plays that have been out this year and last, this is the only one that like stood out to me as I understand and I will purchase this game based on that understanding. Right. So the only way they could do it, I think, with multiple games is make State of Play an hour long and give this 15-minute treatment to every game you're going to show, because the little clips are just they're not doing it.
I would love that though. That would be something to be hyped about. That the countdown leading up to it would be like, this is going to be exciting. It'd be something to like really fucking tweet and share about. Like, I think like the way Eric watched this is fine. Like, yeah, you don't even need to tune into State of Play to watch it all as one presentation. Just watch it on YouTube afterwards. It's fine. You're going to get everything you need to get. It's kind of taken away from it being kind of an event. That's what I'm trying to say. You know?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they're having like a countdown to it. It's like, what's the point?
Yeah.
Just release it.
What is the point? Just release it, yeah. At any time. Let people watch it in their own time. It's
well, I mean, they do both, don't they? You can have the countdown or you can have the YouTube. It's not like you actually are. Because even if they did this, like back when they did State of Play with the little segments of Deathloop constantly, you were still able just to watch that on YouTube afterwards anyway.
Yeah.
I know, but the nice thing about these events, and it's something that, like, I know, Eric, you tend not to watch them, so you kind of miss out on it, but it's the anticipation, not knowing what's going to be shown, right? We're trying to get that Final Fantasy VII announcement feeling.
Oh, well, I think this was the first or second one recently. I think it was this one, or Ratchet, that I just watched on YouTube. I think the other ones I did watch.
But even like E3 in the past, like, I don't think you've ever sat down to watch an E3 while it's going. I think you've always just caught up with the clips afterwards.
I watched one or two, and that made me go, I'll just catch up with the clips later.
Yeah.
All the talking board.
I'm really excited for E3 this year. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah. I always love it. And it's the talking in between that I really enjoy, because it's like that gives you the nuances and the understanding of what the game is. You're hearing it from the dev side.
I might have an appreciation for the talking now that I'm older. But when I was like a 10-year-old child, I was like, I don't care for the talking. Shut up and show me the game.
Show me a cool trailer. Yeah. I know. I hear you. Okay, so just before I move on from Horizon, then, from what you've seen so far, is it a day one purchase?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, no more PS5 games.
Yeah, for me it is as well. I think it kind of was even before this. Like we were saying, it hasn't reinvented the wheel or anything like that, but I enjoyed the first wheel anyway, so it's,
Yeah, when I finally
just see where it goes.
Gave the wheel a go, it was a good wheel.
Yeah, you were kind of apprehensive about the wheel.
Because
I agree with Eric.
This wheel was like kind of very similar to every other wheel.
Yeah, I think that I actually find the first Horizon is like really interesting and gripping at the start. Then it becomes an incredibly boring game, and then towards the end it becomes really, really gripping again. But it's the end, I feel like that reveal really lands so well that I think that sticks with you, and then it's like, okay, yeah, that was a good game. But I felt the journey between the beginning and the end was pretty mediocre as a game. Like, beautiful looking, but I felt the gameplay wasn't that great. So hopefully this has more better placed story beats, because the first one I felt there was like huge segments of like nothing's happening. The side quests are not even that interesting. Hopefully there's like they're better paced.
Yeah, but I think as well with it was like when it came out, it was pretty much every game around that time was doing big, huge open world. So when I was like, at this point, I was full with open world games, where I was just like, actually, I want a linear story now, because I did find that those linear ones do tend to be the better stories. This seems like a game that's just a better story. So when I was like, oh, here's a huge open world, I was like, oh, is this another one of these things where it's like, look at our huge world, aren't we great? We have a huge, big world. And I was like, that was, I think, the era of, no, just because your world is big doesn't mean you're a good game. This turned out to be something where actually the story was very good.
Yeah.
And, I cried at the end.
And hopefully, and the world might be better this time around, like even better. It might be more fun to explore just based on how it's looking so far. So, definitely a day one purchase. I just want to know when that day one is. Let me know, guys. Let us know. And again, get in touch with us, guys. Let us know what you thought of Horizon. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out on YouTube. And if you watch this on YouTube, jump down in the comments. Let us know what you thought of it. But moving on from Horizon, just because it was shown in the same week, when we have mentioned it, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Intergrade. Obviously, we've talked about it before. We are excited ourselves about replaying the game with better textures, better graphics, and better lighting again, and photo mode and all this kind of stuff. But the stuff that they're showcasing is the Yuffie Dlc.
Yeah.
Was there anything in it that caught your eye or that was in any way particularly exciting?
Yeah. Fort fucking Condor.
That's such a clever way of doing that, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's fucking genius.
Now they don't have to do it. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really have to do it.
Go to Fort Condor.
No.
And you could go there later on, and it could turn out that this board game is based on a historical battle that once took place there. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it doesn't have to be the mini game or anything. No.
You don't have to do the mini game there now because the mini game is done as a board game.
and the mini games graphics are so much better than the original, because the original was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, it was so bizarre. It's such a bizarre...
polygons were like they dropped. So they had obviously the squares and triangles for all the characters, but then they just went fucking all out and went, let's just make them actually squares and triangles.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing there, son?
As soon as they showed Fort Condor, Noni was like, that's really clever. But I was like, the fucking music.
Yeah. But that is things like that where you're just like,
I have Final Fantasy 7 so memorable, like.
Yeah, I just have so much confidence now in that studio, in any decision they decide to make now with each iteration of this game, because it's things like that where they just find really, really clever ways to implement it. Doesn't leave anything out. Stays true to it, but is new as well. And it's like,
yeah. And
I can't wait.
the next exciting was just all of Yuffie's fighting and like how she implements the materia powers into how she fights.
Her combat, or what do they call it, like ice ninjutsu and lightning.
Yeah,
ninjutsu.
that was really clever.
That looked brilliant.
Yeah.
That looked great.
And the range, just like smashing boxes to collect stuff.
Yeah, and there was some like mini platforming kind of stuff going on as well that I thought was really, really cool. One thing I'm a little bit worried about, but it comes with the territory. I mean, you can't be too surprised either. I think this is looking a little bit cringier than even 7 Remake was. It's just when she's doing all those juggling things. I'm Yuffie, and I'm a materia hunter, and I'm here to help Shinra, and all, and I'm like,
very anime.
Nobody goes on like that. But if anyone's going to be a total anime character in Final Fantasy 7, it is Yuffie.
Yeah.
So it's not totally surprising either that they're going to lean into that kind of animeisms of her.
Yeah.
But I hope it has its darker moments too.
I'm not 100% sure it can be cringier though than the
Honeybee Inn.
Than the Honeybee Inn.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I think they kind of they just gave you the like, this. Trust me, this is as bad as it's gonna get.
Yeah.
Let's go forward from here.
Cringe. They've peaked in cringe. Yeah.
So everything else will be fine.
But yeah, she looks like she plays really well, and there was some really cool shit in there. I didn't. This is something I never noticed from the original game, but I was listening to, because if you go on to different, IGN were showing it, but if you go into some of the other journalists and stuff that were showing it, depending on who's talking, they have, either a greater knowledge of the original Final Fantasy VII or not, right? Mm-hmm. And so from Eurogamer, they were talking about those turtle leaflet things.
Yeah.
Flyers. Mm-hmm. I was like, that's a weird little mini game. Turns out it's not weird, because that was a mini game side quest from the original Final Fantasy VII. Those turtle flyer things could be found all over the world, and then you have to go to some place called the Happy Turtle or something, which is the inn or the pub at Wutai. Yeah. So that guy, I was like, whoa, what?
I didn't know that.
No, exactly. Like, it's something I never caught on to, but that's how deep they're going. That's how deep they're going.
Yeah, it's shit like that where you're like, I've no problems with this. The team, what they're doing with the remake series, they're doing a great job with it.
This just seem to know their shit.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Another thing that stood out to me was the other character that you don't get to play as, you just command.
Yeah.
So that offers great opportunity for extra characters going forward that you could fight alongside and command them, but not actually play as them.
Yes.
That could just tack on with your party. I can't recall if that ever happened in the original.
Makes me wonder. It would be really cool. They would have revealed it by now if it was something that they're doing, but wouldn't it be so cool if they retouched a certain chapter in the main game where you can issue commands to Red 13? So they're like, there's no way we can implement it that you control him, but maybe just issuing commands to him with your ATV bar.
I don't remember that.
What?
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm saying if you can do that.
Oh, all right. So you can't control him the same way you control Tifa. It's just no, Mike. You were just so secretive about it. You were like this particular chapter, and we're like thinking, what fucking chapter?
What the fuck are you talking about?
What are they talking about, man?
Is it that chapter 17 where they're
right? Yeah, the end of the game. Where
you mean like if
they put that in Intergrade, where you can issue commands to Red 13? That would be cool. That's what I'm trying to say. But I'm saying they're not doing that obviously because they would reveal that because that's exciting.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
You mean touch on the kind of upscaled PS5 version of the actual game?
Yes. Sorry. Where you're going around Hojo's lab, Red 13's with you and he's fighting. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it would be too much work that you could actually play as him.
But you could issue commands, yeah.
But if you could issue commands to him in the same way that they're doing with Sonon, that would be fucking awesome.
Yeah, see, I thought you were talking about a particular chapter from the original game, but I was like, what are you on about, man?
But I'm wondering, is there characters other than Sephiroth? Are there other characters in the original that you fought alongside that you didn't get to control? Now, I know you did get to control Sephiroth.
I see what you're saying now. You're talking like maybe when we get to Nibelheim, you could issue commands to fuck with Sephiroth.
Yeah, or if there's other characters that decide to join with you, and you could issue commands to them but not play as them.
They could have, if considering Roach will probably be a reoccurring character.
Yeah,
he's one that would make sense.
They might do it with him because he often would. He's obviously shown in the remake that he would kill Shinra soldiers just so you can have a chance to fight Cloud. Would there be a moment that you can like control you? Give commands to Roach to fight Shinra soldiers, but at the same time, Roach is trying to kill you too. Mm-hmm. So it becomes this weird, like, three-way battle.
And I wonder if that's how Catsit will be handled.
Oh man, I'm so curious how they're going to do Catsit.
Not actually play as them, but rather just issue commands.
Nah, you gotta play as him.
I think it'll be playable.
Jumps around
probably.
I think it'll be weird, but I think he'll be playable.
Yeah.
I'd say he's one of the more challenging ones for them to figure out. And I think that there was probably some skepticism about whether or not they'll actually do Catsit, which is why I think they included him as an Easter egg in the first game. Not an Easter egg, but they actually had him as a cameo in that first part. Mm-hmm. I think that was them saying, no, we are doing we're doing it all. Mm-hmm, see that guy? We are doing him. If there was anything you were worried about us leaving out, we're fucking doing it.
Well, I think we were all sure to leave it all in when you see Cloud in the advertisements, Cloud squatting and the freaking dance scene. You're like, all right, you're doing it all.
I just don't see why they would introduce this other character that you don't get to play as just command if that's not going to be a mechanic going forward. So I'm really interested to see what that brings.
Yeah.
Are there characters from because they are introducing characters from the compilation Final Fantasy VII. So are there going to be other characters scattered throughout parts 2 and 3 and so on from the compilation that you don't get to play as, but you do get to command?
Maybe Leslie could be another one. Working with Leslie.
What? Oh, Leslie. Yeah. Sorry. For some reason, I automatically thought of Chadley.
So did I, actually. I thought you meant Chadley.
Automatically thought of him instead of Leslie.
Oh, you could. They could do that too with Chadley.
Please.
Leslie was cool, and he's obviously going to explore the world. So you might issue commands to him at some point.
Yeah, maybe. Like, I do think Adam's onto something though, because I remember my initial theory was that you would play a Sonon. And that the reason they'd given them the weapon that they had was that they were actually figuring out their controls for Sid. That's what I thought they were doing with him.
Mm-hmm.
But doing it with a character where it didn't matter what story role he plays in it, right? They could do what they like with him. The fact that you're only issuing commands to him now, though, I think you're probably onto something where it's like, no, they're not figuring out Sid's moveset, but they're actually figuring out another mechanic which will come in.
They could actually be doing both. They're figuring out.
Well, they would have the
Sid's
animations.
Yeah,
of course, yeah. I did think it was actually just speaking of Sid and some of the other Final Fantasy VII party members. I thought it was very interesting in an interview where they explained why they chose Yuffie, and it's another good one where you're like, these guys, they know what they're doing right now, right? They were like, okay, because someone's like, why didn't you use someone like Vincent who's more popular, like more popular with the fans generally? And they're like, well, Vincent's still in his slumber, so he wouldn't be out of his slumber yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sid is off working for Shinra.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't be free roaming through here and doing something against Shinra. So they're like, so Yuffie is really the only character who's sort of free to do what we want with her.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, like you're sticking to like who their characters are. That means that when we meet Sid, he is gonna be a bastard, and that means that Vincent is in the fucking coffin underneath Shinra Mansion. You know what I mean? Like that's where he is.
They must have like someone on their team who's like he studied the game or she studied the game, like kind of like, you know, when you have historians come on to Hollywood movies to make sure that everything can be historically accurate and stuff. So they'll just go to this person and they pull out their Bible and they just brush it off and let me just go to that chapter and see.
I saw a joke on Facebook actually where people were saying that more movies and stuff should have someone designated as I think they call him the book slapper, right?
The book slapper.
They would know, like, so if they're doing like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, whatever, right? They would have like all the information, have the books and everything. So if the director or the producer or anyone thinks about changing it, they go up and they slap them with the book and go, "No, this is how it is. Stick to it."
Everyone needs a book slapper whenever they're making a movie adaptation of a video game.
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
No, he's supposed to have a mustache.
But it's like the attention to detail that they're putting into this fucking
remake.
It's just like, you know, it's easier to go to like you know, you take a Lord of the Rings, for example. If they're doing a scene, they're just sitting there, and whatever scene they're doing, they have the book in front of them. They're reading that chapter to make sure that they're
they can just skip to that chapter,
picking up nuances. It's like, how do you do that with a game that's like an RPG? So there's like, you know, multiple possible ways of kind of doing certain things, and you can do things in different orders, and like, how are they keeping track of everything? It's like, even as being the makers of the game, which I know some of the team are the original, but not all of them. Even the original guys are not going to remember everything.
No, should they?
Because they would have been working on so many other projects that it would have just forgotten about.
They said when they revisited the game that, like, you know, they were like, right, we know we're going to do it in parts, and for the first part we're going to do Midgar because that's quite a sizable chunk, and leaving there is quite a, you know, it's a good moment to leave a game on because it has its own self-contained story with Shinra and stuff. But to say when they went back and replayed it, they thought it was way longer. They were like, oh fuck, I remember this being way longer. This is actually quite short. We're going to have to flesh the shit out of this. It was pretty much, no, but seriously, like, because they're like, you can't package it.
Well, I always remember it being longer too.
Yeah, same.
I think everyone does because there's just so much that happens there. And you're not just traveling from town to town. There's so much that happens in Midgar, but it actually, if you know what you're doing, it happens in a short period of time. It's actually not as long as people think it is.
It's as long as you can make it, I guess.
Yeah, essentially. Yeah. I mean, I suppose people were kind of stuck in Wall Market for quite a long time.
Well, I guess with Midgar, it's like, it's a little bit more linear, and you feel like you could, you know, before I move on, I'm going to go and explore all the shops here and talk to everyone, see if I can do anything before I move on.
Yeah.
So you kind of are more enticed to, I don't know, do other things in it. But when you open up into the world, it's like, you need to go to this town. And it's like, okay, I've gone to that town. Right, you need to go to the next town. And you're like, okay, well, I don't really feel like hanging around in this town and figuring out everything here. I'm just going to burst on. You're less likely to kind of stay around and do everything because you've got a whole world to explore now.
Yes. Yeah. And Midgar as well is like, like it's not only is it the location you spend the most amount of time in, but it's doing the world building for you. And as soon as that game introduces Sephiroth, you're basically just like, oh, I just want to activate the next Sephiroth sequence. So wherever he is, that's where I'm going. I don't care about this town. I'm going to activate that next Sephiroth sequence. So
I remember there was actually a town in the original you go to, and I can't remember what it was called. It's really small. It I don't know. It's a bad way to describe it. It's got these cobblestones road.
Cam?
Maybe it's Cam. Do you do anything in Cam? I remember going to Cam.
You get the Nibelheim story, and as soon as you get that, you can shop around or leave.
There's not much to do in Cam.
Oh,
it's pretty much just it's a rest point. It's the next town that they end up going to.
It's actually where the next game needs to start. Well, apart from the Nibelheim flashback, it then just needs to. There's no point in walking between Nibelheim to Cam. Like, you should just start off in Cam. You know.
Yeah.
Go collect your gear, pick up a couple of side missions, whatever, and then off you go.
Go find some squirrels.
I hate those kind of fetchy quest things in RPGs. Stop doing it.
Yeah, that entire side of the... What do you even call that mountain? Is it the... What's that mountain range that you end up having to go under?
Under?
Yeah, because the Midgar Zolo is like kind of...
Oh, in the Mithril Mines.
Mithril Mines. But is that mountain got a name, that mountain range?
I can't remember. I mean, there probably is probably some hardcore Final Fantasyologist out there who knows exactly what every peak is called. But
that side of the mountain or continent, there's like nothing there really. It's just you got Cam, this your backstory, and you got the Chocobo Farm to get you.
Yeah, and you've got Fort Condor, and now with this mini game,
it's Fort Condor is on the opposite side.
Oh yeah, it's Midgar, Midgar, Cam, and
Chocobo Farm.
Chocobo Farm, Swamp, Mithril Mines, Fort Condor down here, and then Mount Junnon.
Well, Fort Condor is like one of the first places you'll see when you come out of the Mithril Mines.
Yeah, and then the Junnon Harbour.
Yeah, and then just so that first continent really doesn't have much to it. But I imagine
that's why it's so complicated to try and guess where this next game's going to end.
Yeah.
It's really complicated because it's like if the sole second game is just the rest of that continent and that leaving on the ship is going to be like their stop-off point, people are going to be like, how many fucking games are you making? Like, if you're going to keep blowing out these kind of spots, but at the same time, once you get over to the other continent, it's like, where do you stop it? Because now we're on this like crazy train.
It's
how far do you go? It's tricky, but I'm really curious to see what they're going to pull off. And I think they're going to pull off something really great. I'm just really looking forward to seeing more of this, and I can't wait to play. Like, I think that this Yuffie DLC even will end in such a way that we have more questions. I don't think it'll be just a DLC. I think it's going to end in such a way where we're like, so now what does that mean?
Yeah.
I really do. I think they're going to fucking go for it.
Yeah, well, I because of the fact that the remake can go in a very, very different path, they don't necessarily have to end at Junnon Harbour. Even if they were just, so that's what we would think. It's like, oh, well, they're obviously going to end with Junnon Harbour.
Oh, no, that's what I don't think. I don't think they're going to do that.
Well, even if our people are doing that, what I'm saying is they could end with something else. They could end with the destruction of Chocobo Farm and Sephiroth's there and it's on fire. What I mean is, like, they can kind of
like they could get you over to the second continent. They could go to Gongaga and they really have quickly. A huge end piece there. Yeah. They could do anything. But it is curious as to where they would decide to put a stopper, because they're like, okay, fucking hell, we're gonna have to stop here somewhere. Maybe it's gonna be the gold saucer. Don't know.
I wonder, do they have the outline kind of written out? Do they know where they're going to end it? Like, do they know how many games it's going to be? That'd be interesting to know.
I would reckon so. It's kind of one of the most...
They wouldn't want to disclose that, because I think they would love to squeeze some more DLCs.
Yeah, I think they know more than they're letting on.
Yeah.
Because they keep saying, obviously, that's like, oh, we really don't know. We're just doing it game by game. But I think when you get to the end of that first game and just how many little details there are and stuff, I think there's definitely a roadmap that they have, and they're just not going to disclose it.
Yeah, well, it'd be one of the first things any production company does is the roadmap. Like, I mean, you look at...
You hope.
You hope. Yeah, if you look at Peter Jackson's...
but if you look at the Rings...
But on the other hand, you look at Kevin Feige's Marvel, MCU. Yeah. So, yes, we hope they're more like Kevin Feige and Peter Jackson for Lord of the Rings.
And roadmap it out a bit,
Yeah.
We do hope that. You're right, Eric. You're right. Okay, so then, was there anything else from Intergrade that you saw in that new footage that stood out to you, or was...
Not really. Like, I am actually more excited to replay Remake with all the enhancements than I am to play Intergrade. Like, I'm intrigued by Intergrade, but it's like, that's not why I'm getting this,
No, of course.
I'm wanting to see that exquisite door.
Yeah, man. But also, you know what was curious to me in a couple of, like, when they initially showed Vice the villain of Dirge of Cerberus. I assumed they were showing, like, it was kind of just a close-up of his face, and I assumed they were showing him because he was going to be the villain of Yuffie's chapter, right? This villain who's from the compilation that people know, but they can kind of do what they like with him because nobody cares if he's in the main story. So he could be the villain of the DLC and it's fine. But then in one of the later trailers, it was actually him in a VR room about to fight Cloud, Aerith, and Barrett, I think.
Yeah.
He wasn't in Yuffie's part. He was it, which made me go, wait now, is there going to be cool changes in the actual game?
Well, that looks like to me, it's just like, the way you could fight
VR rooms.
Yeah, the Bahamut. Like that's just another way that you could. So they could bring in like Kadaj and stuff like that, not in the game, but you fight them. So it's just like
in a VR simulator,
extra fights, extra bosses and stuff like that.
That would be cool.
With achievements and then unlockables. So maybe you can unlock Kadaj's sword if you beat him or something like that.
Oh yeah,
that'd be interesting.
That'd be fucking class, boy.
There'd be a lot of possibilities there. That would be really, really, really cool. Oh, fucking! Speaking of, you mentioned Bahamut there. Speaking of someone's Ramu.
I know, right? Yes.
Yes.
But like, it's not really leaving it open to like exploring and discovering summons as you go.
I don't know. There was a lot of summons though.
There was a lot of summons
in the original game, and I don't think there's going to be any other new summons introduced in this. I think that's just it.
I mean, Ramu's enough because Ramu's fucking awesome.
Unless they have another 10 different Bahamuts that you can unlock.
Yeah, they could do.
There was like three in the original, was it?
But but then there was Neo Bahamut or Bahamut Sin. Sorry, Bahamut Sin in Advent Children.
Oh my fucking god! We
God.
are definitely getting Bahamut Sin.
Oh my fucking god!
That's definitely happening.
They could that would be fucking sick. That would actually be really cool.
Yeah,
it'd be cool if the summon was the same one from Advent Children, where like the crowd
it does the big blue ball thing.
Yeah,
that'd be fucking amazing. The only thing is, I kind of wish
blue ball thing.
It's the big blue ball. I guess blue balls. The only thing is, I kind of wish that they did a little swap around thing. Okay, it doesn't matter, and it's after the fact, but it's just my little fan brain is kind of moving around here. I kind of wish that Ramu was in the Final Fantasy VII Remake base game, the original.
Okay.
And with Yuffie, we were getting Leviathan.
Right.
Leviathan is from Wutai.
Yeah.
In the original. And you didn't get Leviathan until you went to Wutai. And I just kind of think that would be just, like, look, this is nitpicky. It doesn't matter. Summons are cool, and if you can get a summon, great. But it's just, it would be a real cool tie-in that she has Leviathan. You'd be like, oh my god, yeah, she's bringing Leviathan from Wutai with her. It doesn't really matter. But
I get it. I just think I'm more excited from, like, I never really liked Leviathan, and even in the remake, I didn't really like using Leviathan. So I just think this is probably a more fun summon to use.
Oh, definitely. Like,
but from a story perspective, it would be neater.
Yeah. And I cannot wait. And I think it's going to be a part 2 summon. It's probably going to be the first summon shown of Remake Part 2. This is my little prediction. Odin. I cannot wait to see Odin on his fucking Sleipnir. Doing his fucking Zatsukene.
Was a 6-legged, 8-legged horse?
Yeah.
A 6-legged, 8-legged horse.
Yeah. Because 2 of the legs are cut off or something, isn't it?
On 6 of his legs, he's got 8 legs.
Yeah, check out my spider steed. Okay, so
I was going to say I can't wait for Knights of the Round.
Oh yeah, well that's a lot. That's a final game though. That's not.
Goblin Mountain or whatever, Goblin Island. That's just going to be like the fucking hardest thing.
Oh yeah, getting Knights of the Round is going to be the most difficult thing you've ever done.
Yeah.
Or they'll make it some cool questing where you have to collect one knight at a time, and it eventually becomes Knights of the Round when you have them all.
That would be top tier.
That would be like this massive side quest where if you have to collect a knight in different locations in the world, and you need like things like the chocobos to get to certain parts or whatever. Yeah. But it's this huge collectible, and at the end, if you have them all, you've unlocked Knights of the Round.
You go to Goblin Island or whatever it's called. with each of the summon materials. There's like a round table with plinths. You put them all in it, and they all combine and give you the final ultimate summon, Knights of Round. That's all I want.
That's it.
Do that.
Fuck Sephiroth. Sephiroth's lame. Do that. That's the plot.
That's fucking amazing. Do that. Okay, so moving on from Intergrade. This is just something that I thought would have been a nice way to end State of Play. I think it would make sense, especially because State of Play is at the end of the month, and at the start of every following month is when people can download the free PlayStation Plus games.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always finding out about PlayStation Plus games by looking at articles by other people who are not PlayStation. It's weird. What, like, so at the end of State of Play, would it not be nice to just... It's like just a quick screen thing. Here are the new games that are coming. So, in case you haven't heard yet, folks, the new games that are coming are Star Wars Squadrons, Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown, which is actually a remake. Brand new game. And then the other one was called Operation Tango. Any of those games something that would interest you?
No, not really. I might just try them out, but none of them I'm like...
Is the Squadron VR?
Yes.
Okay, so I can't download that.
Okay, I'm a little excited for that.
In VR. Yeah, you could play the whole game in VR, or without VR.
Okay.
But it is just a flying game. It is just space battles.
Yeah, so. Well, I'll probably be like Adam. I'll give him a go. Doesn't the Virtua 5 kind of look like it's Street Fighter or something? Like the guy on the covers looks like.
I always thought that. Right.
Looks like Ryu?
I decided. He looks just like Ryu, and he is their kind of role model. So it turns out, Virtua Fighter, its biggest rival is Tekken.
Okay.
And Street Fighter, the biggest competitor was always Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
Seems a bit weird, but basically what it is, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter are seen as the OGs, and like they're fighting for like which is the best fighting game of all time. Okay. A lot of people are in the iconic Street Fighter camp, and a lot of other people are in the kind of iconic Mortal Kombat camp. Virtua Fighter and Tekken were always kind of competing as the two kind of more accessible for everyone fighting games.
Okay. Is Virtua Fighter Sega?
Virtua Fighter Sega. And this year is a big anniversary for Sega, and that's why they're actually releasing a lot of games, including new Sonic games and stuff like that as well. But Virtua Fighter 5 originally came out in 2006, and then there was a Virtua 5 Showdown, which was kind of like a legacy edition or a definitive edition of that. And this is called Ultimate Showdown. It's a remake of that game.
So it's a remake of a remake of a remake.
Kind of, yeah. Kind of. What's interesting is Virtua Fighter... I always thought it was sort of I kind of put it in the same camp as Dead or Alive. It's like the fighting game that no one seems to really play. I didn't really think much of it. It's older than Tekken. It came out in 1993, and it's older than Tekken.
Okay.
It was
I suppose
it was the first 3D fighting game.
Oh yeah. I do recall that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all. I'm interested to give it a go because I've never played a Virtua Fighter, so I'm like, why not? It's there, why not?
I do find even on the PlayStation, it doesn't even do a good job of telling you, like, how do you even find the PS Plus games? Like, I always find it really difficult to discover them. Like, where are they?
I agree.
That should be like first page. Here's your games. Download them.
I 100% agree. Yeah,
I always trade the sun.
Takes me a while to find them. And then as for Squadrons, it obviously didn't perform very well. That came out last year.
Fuck. Okay. Well, I'll give the VR a go just to see what that looks like.
You say that. Yeah. But then Final Fantasy VII Remake a year later was released on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah, but you see, here's the thing, right?
That's to hype up Intergrade, though, isn't it?
That's to hype up Intergrade. With the free PS4 version, you can't upgrade to Intergrade.
I suppose, okay.
So either way, to get the Intergrade content, you have to purchase in some way Final Fantasy VII Remake. Right. Do you know what I'm saying? So there is a
and have a PS5.
There is another element to it. where I'll have a PS5.
All for that door.
As well, here's the other thing. Part 2 will be PS5 exclusive.
Okay.
100%. It
You don't
won't
think
be.
that's like, is this coming? Because remember, like, there was talks of it being
It's in production, like.
exclusive for a year or something like that, or a temporary exclusive. Is there any talks of that going to any other platform?
Yeah, a
Or
lot
is
of
it
people
just
are asking about
maybe
that.
just PC?
And I think it's going to PC eventually. I do not think it's going to go to Xbox.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really don't.
I mean, it'd be nice with the PlayStation Plus games. It'd be nice to have some multiplayer games for us to play, I suppose.
And that's where Operation Tango comes in. Good segue, Eric. So, Operation Tango is a co-op game. It's a spy thriller game where one person plays as the agent and the other person plays as the hacker, or like the guy in the chair. And they're seeing different things, but they have to give each other information to kind of solve puzzles and not get caught on their mission.
Oh, that sounds cool.
It sounds kind of interesting. I don't know what the gameplay is like, but that's the premise. So if it's free, why not get out the headset and give
that's
it a
a
go?
PS5 one, isn't it?
That's for the PS5, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But Virtua Fighter would also be multiplayer.
Oh, yeah, you could pick
Yeah, and then I assume
Squadrons
Squadrons would be multiplayer?
online multiplayer.
I mean, but I assume we'd be playing online with all these if we were to play them.
No, what I mean is it's not like it's like in a similar way to like Call of Duty online, right? Like you're not going to be in a private
fighting
match
other
just
people.
the two of us.
Yeah, I know, but all three of us could then be a squadron.
Oh, you could. Yeah, I'm sure you could. Yeah.
And we'd lose.
Folks.
You would lose like fuck, and you'd also be like,
You've been doing Call of Duty Mobile, so you should have some skills in it.
but you know, like in other, like say in Call of Duty or something, you're like, hey, where are you? So here, come meet me in this building. Can you imagine trying to find each other in space? Like,
I'm by the
the big bright thing in the sky over there.
Look, I'm behind the Y wing. For fuck's sake, come on. Which Y wing?
I'm having a war by this star. Man, that's like all the stars. What are you doing?
The one thing I would
It's
say,
like
like,
Star Wars.
yeah. None of those games are like, oh fuck me, that's gonna be amazing. I was about to buy it. Thank God they've just done that, and now I don't have to buy it.
It'll be
None
a
of them are
while
like that.
before we get like that, I think.
Yeah, but all three of them at least are ones that I'd be like, oh, I'd like to try that. Versus
Yeah,
sometimes I get a month where it's like there's only one game I have any interest in actually trying, and the other two I'll never touch. And that has happened. So I actually think it's kind of a nice mix of PlayStation Plus games this time around.
The Tango one sounds really good. That sounds like
it's interesting. It sounds like an interesting premise. It's probably difficult, but I'd say it's a bit of fun. So it's worth giving a go. So yeah, so that's the PlayStation Plus games coming out this week for anyone who has a PlayStation and wants to and try them out. And if you didn't know that that's what was coming, there you go. Because PlayStation for some reason doesn't tell anyone. So we don't know why just end state of play with. Here's your new free games. So that you go, oh, thanks, PlayStation. I don't know what state of play is for. I really don't. Don't know what the point of it. I really don't.
The absolute state of it.
Fucking state of play, though. But, yeah, Horizon 2 looks great. Intergrade looks great. And 3 new games to try out. Awesome sauce. But now we'd love to hear from other people. So, if you've been watching this on YouTube, be sure to jump down into the comments. Let us know your thoughts on Horizon. Let us know your thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. And also of those 3 games, maybe you've played Squadrons before, maybe you've played Virtua Fighter before. You can let us know what they're like. And if you have a PS5, are you going to be trying out Operation Tango? Do let us know. And if you enjoyed this, give us a thumbs up. Hit subscribe and click that notification bell so you know when we put out future content, whether it's podcast episodes or maybe other content. If you're listening to us on audio platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to listen to us, do also touch base with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at The Brothers Take to give your take on everything we brought up today. And also, just us as people, let us know what you think of us. We can take it. We can take it. Thank you very much for listening, everybody. We will be back to talk to you about more gaming-related topics next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.